Hey everybody, welcome to DadsDen of Pop Culture and Mighty Thor Monday. This beautiful Memorial Day. God bless all of our troops, everybody who served. Those who survived, those who didn't, who fought to the best of their ability for a better world. We are looking today at Thor, number 356 from June of 1985. Now this was a fill-in issue. As it says on the cover, stand aside, Thunder God, Walt Simonson is on vacation, and so art thou. So technically, maybe not exactly a Walt Simonson, a issue of the Walt Simonson run, but it fits in there. And I thought, what the hey, because like I said, just barely going to have enough issues to get me all the way into December, so I didn't want to cut anything out. So, this one is brought to us, if it will focus, there we go, by Bob Harras, writer, Jackson Guice, penciler, Bob Layton, inker, John Workman, letterer, Christy Shield, colorist, Mark Grunwald, guest editor, Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief, and we begin in, presumably, Central Park, with Hercules and Jarvis, the Avengers butler, walking through the park. Apparently, Hercules has decided he's going to throw a mighty feast for the Avengers. If you think about all the stuff they've just gone through, and Jarvis is helping him. And of course, he wants some very odd ingredients for this feast, like, Mycenaean wine and things like that. And as they're walking through, Hercules gets bonked, literally. He gets bonked in the head by a frisbee and picks it up, thinks it's a discus, but all of a sudden all these women see him and they all go wild for Hercules. Isn't he gorgeous? And Jarvis is just sitting on the bench there. Oh, I thought Master Starfox was a trial. Remember, Starfox is sort of like, his real name is Eros. So while all of that is going on, we see this boy on this sort of hill under this tree, drawing pictures of Thor. Thor is his favorite hero. And he's accosted by these bullies. And the main bully steals his drawing pad, and they start making fun of what he's doing, that kind of thing. And then, of course, they start making fun of Thor. Thor sucks. Like, why don't you like Spider-Man or the Human Torch or something? One of the good ones. Thor's got long hair and blah, 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 blah. Well, it comes down to him saying, you think you're hot stuff, Tony, because you're bigger than me and you could beat me up, but you can't beat Thor up. He's 100 times better than your stupid heroes. Which, if you think about it, it's kind of true. Thor could probably he could definitely take Spidey in a fight, and probably the Human Torch too. Maybe, though. The Torch could do some pretty impressive things. But anyway, so they're getting in this little fight, and they see Hercules. And so they have the kid. You go ask Hercules who's stronger, him or Thor. Well, if you know Hercules from these old comics, that Hercules is just a little bit arrogant and a little bit egocentric, and he likes to tell wild stories about himself. He laughs. Who is stronger, the god of thunder or Hercules? Excuse me, lad, whilst I regain my composure, surely you know that I am called the Prince of Power. I did not come by that name easily. And so he starts telling about some of his past exploits. And the kid's like, okay, well, that's great, but who's stronger, you or Thor? Well, if you insist, child, I suppose I will have to tell you of the last confrontation between the god of thunder and myself. Truly, it was an epic battle of which the poets shall long sing. And I got to be honest, as I'm reading this one this time, I reread before I do these videos. I've also been watching Batman Brave and the Bold. And what was in my head was the voice of their version of Aquaman when I was reading this. And it actually made me think, God, their Aquaman actually, I think they were just doing Marvel's Hercules. I think they just turned Aquaman into Marvel's Hercules. I hadn't thought about that when I'd watched the cartoon back in the day, but it just all came together. So he tells about how Thor and Hercules are relaxing at Avengers Mansion. There's Jarvis. He's involved, of course. And they decide to have a arm wrestling contest. And here we have Jarvis, though, going, excuse me, sir, but I don't recall any of this. You do not? Oh, that is, of course, I made an error. This all happened whilst you took your beloved mother to Miami Beach on vacation, faithful Jarvis. So you kind of tell that Hercules is making all this up in the first place. Well, he defeats Thor, of course, because he's way stronger. And, you see Thor back here. Again you win. Again and again you best me. Why? Why? What can I say, Asgardian? Someone has to be second best. But why must it be me? And he hits Hercules on the head with Mjolnir. Hercules says, now, child, you must understand, normally I am the most even-tempered of gods, and I detest mindless violence. And Thor's back here. What did I do? But to be savagely and rudely hit over the head with a weapon as ridiculous as the Uru hammer of all things is too much to ask, even of the son of Zeus. Thor, thou hast made me mad. And Thor whimpers, and then he smashes Thor. And so what we get with this one is this kind of long, drawn-out battle. And Guice does a great job on the pencils, and Layton on the inks, obviously. This long, drawn-out battle between Thor and Hercules, and naturally, Thor does not stand a chance. Thor does not stand a chance. And Jarvis tries to interrupt every so often, think you're kind of making this up a little bit, dude. You're going, did this really happen? Are you sure about this? But there's some great stuff. We got Thor lifting up the asphalt to, create a shield, and Hercules just smashes through it. And, how dare you destroy city property? I must stop you, He hits Thor with a bus. Thor hits him with a car, Oh ho, Thor, surely you do not intend to stop me with that puny car. It's not just a car, Hercules. It's a Volkswagen. Okay. He tears the Volkswagen to pieces. And so through all this, of course, the bullies are enjoying this because Hercules, hey, he's an adventurer. He's actually adventured with Thor. He would know, wouldn't he? He's telling them that, yeah, of course, Thor's not the strongest. Thor's kind of a wimp, actually. You see him sort of starting to rip up the drawing pad. The battle goes to the Empire State Building. Boom, pow, blam, crash, smash, katang. They get right up in there. He hits Thor harder than he intended, so he has to even save him a little bit. And there they are at the end of the battle. Hercules triumphant. Thor, the poor sap, had no chance whatsoever. And then this little old lady comes up, and he's like, oh, stand back, Thor. I have to go do a good deed and, take this woman across the street. Thor tries to get involved. He gets hit on the head with a purse. The battle then continues, into this department store. Just some great art. And it's, obviously done more for humor. And it ends when Hercules lifts the entire island of Manhattan from its foundations and uses it to dump Thor in the water. Impressive story, was it not? And Jarvis, the ending leaves one a bit incredulous, sir. I don't think you can do that. It's impossible. Yeah, even I don't believe that, so nobody buys that. I see that this is the age of cynicism, Jarvis. Well, perhaps I did exaggerate a little bit. Well, sir, you have been known to stretch the truth. And he says, well, actually, what I meant was I was angry enough to do that. But what I really did is just, knock Thor out. And the little boy starts to cry, right, as the battle is about to end. And Jarvis notices that, and he notices the other boy kind of ripping up that paper. And at that moment, Hercules gets stopped by another frisbee throw from this little mid-'80s beauty there in the halter top. And it gives Jarvis a chance. He sees that the boy has dropped the pad. He grabs it. He puts it all together, basically. And he says, Master Hercules, may I have a word with you? My ear is thine. And he basically says, look, man, this is what's actually going on here. And Hercules, because yes, he's a braggart and, he's arrogant, but this is distressing to him. If what Jarvis suspects is true, then I have hurt an innocent child. Mr. Hercules, you said you were going to deliver the final blow. Yes, so I did. The final blow. All seemed dark for Thor. When suddenly, Thor strikes back. Enough. The son of Odin will feign weakness no longer. Such strength, such power, never had I seen its like. Too late did it become clear to me. Thor had been holding back his full strength until the last possible moment. What a brilliant tactic. And so he tells the story of Thor actually beating Hercules up and punching him so hard that he launches off of Manhattan Island. I guess, well, we'll do a little focus in on his face there. That's pretty good. So, this is actually kind of a great little Hercules story, because here's this guy who again, heavy ego, but he is in fact a hero. And when he sees that what he's doing, this BS story that he's telling, actually is hurting this boy, he's like, he now makes himself, the guy who gets beat up, and invites the kid and his mother to dinner at Avengers Mansion. And let's go and get those groceries now, Jarvis. Let's not forget the Mycenaean wine, sir. Of course, friend Jarvis. Where would I be without you? Okay. And there you go. And it's just a quick little, really a fight comic, but it's done for humor. And, but I think it actually is a nice little character study in Hercules. He became one of my favorite characters over time. When I was reading, the Avengers, he was one of the Avengers, during the run that I read back in these days. And, I really grew to like that character. And I think this is a great story, using his ego, but also showing his true heroism. And obviously it was a nice break for Walt Simonson, who had just finished an epic and had an epic coming very soon afterward. The Mighty Thor, number 356, June of 1985. Let me know what you think of this comic in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoy this review, please give it a like, maybe subscribe, maybe share with a friend. That'd be very cool. But until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. Enjoy your Memorial Day. Remember our troops. And I will see you hopefully again soon in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.